Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my new video. So those of you who don't know, I've opened a new channel and the link is in the description. So make sure you go there and check it out. I normally do deep dives and high IQ conversations in the new channel. So you've probably not seen a lot of videos I've posted. So make sure you check them out. In this channel, I'm going to be focusing on daily news and quick talks, basically. So without further ado, let's start the show. So you guys know that Trump recently signed a deal in Versailles in France. And he was supposed to sign it on Friday, but he signed it on Wednesday. The reason he signed it on Wednesday because I think there was some intelligence. I've read some reports that there was some intelligence that Israel was going to do a major attack on Friday to derail the signing. So they had this intelligence also coming up from France as well. So because France has some, troops in Lebanon as well, and there's also talks about how Israel might assassinate some Iranian leaders on Friday as well. So all of these reports basically made United States sign it early, 2 days early on Wednesday. Coincidentally, Trump signed it on in France, basically. And you can see from the picture, very similar to the Versailles Treaty signed by Germany when they surrendered. So Trump obviously probably didn't think of it much when he signed it, but you can see the similarities, both signing the document and doing a surrender. The Israelis are losing their minds, guys. I'm looking all over Twitter. All of the Israelis, the Zs, the Js, they are all losing their minds. And I'm a bit worried, actually. I'm a bit worried about what they might do under desperation. Would they do another false flag like 9/11? Who knows, guys? Who knows? But you can see from this clip here that JD Vance has been quite brave. And some of the reporters were asking him, about Trump turning on Israel. And JD Vance, I have to agree with him actually, and I very much like what he said because JD Vance has said, all of these pro-Zios and Israelis and Jays, they have to be careful about what they do because Trump is probably the only leader who is supporting Israel right now. Because the whole world is against Israel, guys. I mean, you just have to look at the UN. Whenever there's a UN vote, you know, the whole world is pretty much, apart from a few puppets, the whole world is pretty much voting against Israel. And America's the only one who supports Israel in the UN. They always use their veto and they're always in support of Israel, but everyone else is against it. So JD Vance is basically has said, the Israeli government have to be very careful in how they deal with Trump, and if they go too far, then they could lose Trump. And if they lose Trump, then Israel could be finished. And I have to agree with him because, you know, Mike Huckabee and all these other, extreme Zios might say that, Israel doesn't need anyone and Israel is supported by God. That's what they think. But in reality, Israel has been supported by the American taxpayers, guys. You know, it's not just the 3 billion they pay per year, it's all of the weapon support, it's all the diplomatic support, it's all the money they pay to their neighbors to keep quiet, like they pay Egypt, they pay Lebanon to keep quiet, and um, and there's always stuff that's getting passed in Congress, secret deals that go to Israel. secret money that goes into Israel, and also a lot of the successful J's and Z's in America who make a lot of money, who are billionaires, they send money back to Israel. So they make the money in the United States, and they take that money and they give it to Israel. So Israel's getting money coming from all sides. Germany is still paying for reparations as well. So they're getting a lot of money, guys. EU is paying, Britain is paying. So if America suddenly decided to pull the plug, Israel will be finished. I'm telling you, they have made so many enemies in the region, so many enemies, guys. They would not be able to survive. I believe all the Arab countries will just attack Israel. And I do believe that will happen. I mean, it might not be the governments that do it, but the people certainly will. I can guarantee that. And Israel won't be able to survive because they won't be able to get any support from United States, no weapon support, and Israel will pretty much run out of money, and you will see these Israelis just start leaving the country. They will start going back to Europe, going back to America, going back to Ukraine, wherever they've come from, and Israel will just empty out, very similar to what happened to South Africa. So yeah, Israel cannot survive without the United States. I do not believe that at all. So what JD Vance has said, I completely agree with. You know, th- I must admit, guys, I must admit, when I first heard this story about a divorce that could be happening between United States and Israel, some sort of fake argument happening between Trump and Netanyahu, I didn't believe it. I thought maybe it's just another theatrics or something. But after seeing what JD Vance has said today, I believe it could be true. The rift between United States and Israel. People are waking up, guys. It's not just the world who is completely against Israel. I mean, Trump has basically said yesterday that Israel has been bombing civilians, blowing up buildings and stuff. He said you cannot blow up buildings just because you think there's a member of Hezbollah in there. And he's right. And then the funny thing was, Trump also said that he'd rather send the Al Qaeda leader from Syria to do the job instead of Israel. So he's basically saying that Al Qaeda, the biggest tease in the world, would do a better job than Israel. So it's quite funny when he said that, to be honest. But yeah, I think this is the end for Netanyahu. But I think everyone knows that it's not just Netanyahu. Even if Netanyahu goes to prison, he gets replaced, the next guy will come in. He'll probably do the same thing, guys. The Israeli policy will not change. They'll keep doing the mass G in Palestine. They'll keep trying to grab land in Lebanon and do their G in Lebanon as well. So uh, you can see the government. They're all in support of what Netanyahu's doing, and the people are in support as well. A huge number of people support what Netanyahu's doing. So it's not just Netanyahu here; it's the whole society that's an issue in Israel. So I want to talk a little bit about Modi as well. I know I spoke a bit about Modi yesterday, but I didn't cover this story. So Trump said to Modi and to all of the press that if any countries attack India or if there's a war with India, then America will protect India. That was Trump's words. But he didn't say protect India. He said he will protect Modi. And the funny thing is, I can see a few takeaways from here. So the first takeaway is, did America help India when it comes to the war with Pakistan. I'm just asking, guys. I'm just asking for a friend. When Trump says that he will protect India, he will help India if they ever went into war. So did he help India when India was fighting Pakistan? I don't think so. I don't think so, guys. I think, in fact, India had such a good hiding from Pakistan. They actually went to Trump to broker a peace deal. And that peace deal was the end of the relationship between United States and India. Because Trump is a leader who likes strength. He likes countries that fight. He has a lot of respect for Iran. And this is why he capitulated. And he has a lot of respect for countries like Yemen. But he has no respect for India whatsoever. And his actions show, all of these tariffs he's been placing on India, all of these, killing the three sailors and not apologizing. You know, it's just one insult after another. And it's just one humiliation after another. It just shows that, Trump has no respect for India whatsoever. So I doubt if he would ever help India if he ever came to war. And if you're an Indian and you believe what Trump says, then I got a bridge to sell you guys. Secondly, he said that he says it in, obviously it's a backhander. Sometimes Trump, when he says certain words, it's like a backhander. It's like a humiliation ritual. He is also saying that India as a country cannot defend itself. That's what he's saying. He says that if India ever went to war, America would come and save it. So he's basically saying India cannot defend itself, especially against Pakistan. It cannot defend itself against Pakistan. And look at Trump. He's pointing at Modi, and Modi's laughing like a little schoolgirl. And he also said that, he's gonna protect India because of this guy. He's pointing at Modi. So he's saying that, he's got a good relationship with Modi. So why did he say that he's going to protect India because of Modi? Because I'll tell you why. Because Modi is a good puppet. He's he does whatever Americans tell him to. When Trump tells him not to buy Russian gas or oil, he does that. So he's a good obedient puppet. He's a good slave for the slave masters. So this is why Trump, says what he says. So you got to take all of these hidden meanings. You got to understand. Unfortunately, a lot of Indians don't have the critical mind thinking. They'll just go along with what Trump says and they'll worship him basically. But you got to look at the hidden insults that Trump is actually giving to India. You know, you got to look at his words and analyze what exactly he's saying. So I found this clip quite funny actually, and you can see here when Modi talks to Trump, he's looking at some notes, and I will play this, guys. Hang on a second. So I don't know if you can hear this, but he was looking through his notes, and he basically said something very, very basic. He said, "Mr. President, I commend you. Thank you for, you know, for what you've done. Very, very basic things like a greeting, hello, Mr. President, very basic stuff. And Modi has to look at a piece of paper to say that. And a lot of people have picked it up, mainly because why does he need to look at a piece of paper to say something so simple? If I'm talking to someone and I say, hi, hello, how are you? Am I going to look at a piece of paper? It's going to make me look so ridiculous, right? So that's what Modi is doing. And secondly, why is Modi opening up a piece of paper? I mean, this is the leader of India, supposed to be the third largest GDP in the world, according to India. Obviously, the numbers are fake, or could be fourth. Who knows? But he's basically opening up a piece of paper that he probably wrote the night before or something like that. Where is the teleprompter? Where is this is back in 1980s stuff we're talking about here, guys. This is very, very basic. No, I mean, no leader does what Modi is doing. He just shows how backwards India is. And again, Modi is just embarrassing himself in the world stage. And Trump is looking at him like, what the hell is going on? Because Trump never uses teleprompter, you see. And that is a weakness for Trump as well, because he says a lot of things which are lies and people pick it up later. So I think sometimes it's good to have something written down and stuff. But what Modi is doing is pure humiliation ritual for the Indians. I mean, this is the guy who's leading your country, and he has to open up a piece of note and say something like, "Hello, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President." Just something basic, something like that. You don't need to look at a note. And he's saying it in Indian as well. We know that Modi can speak English. He just chooses not to. We know this because he went to Congress a few years ago and he spoke English, perfect English in Congress, in front of Congress. And he spoke for at least half an hour. So we know he can speak English. He just chooses not to in front of Trump. And I think that's a kind of disrespect to Trump as well, because Trump knows he speaks English, by the way. He knows he speaks English because they have been speaking a few times. So I think Trump, the way Trump is looking at him, it just shows he has no respect for this guy, and he's just in utter contempt, basically. So let's talk about Pakistan, shall we? So Pakistan has actually done quite well in the world stage. They have the last few years for Pakistan have been very, very good diplomatically. They won the war against India. Obviously, the Indians are going to disagree, but the whole world believes that Pakistan had won. Everyone knows that Pakistan shot down all these Indian jets, and and they have basically brokered a peace deal between the United States and Iran, which was utterly impossible like a month ago, or even like a few weeks ago, even like a few days ago. So they've basically done the impossible, and they've done a pretty good job, to be honest. So credit is due basically, and I gotta give them some credit for that. However, however, this is a big but, by the way. I still believe Pakistan's leadership is very corrupt. I mean, the picture you see or the video that you're seeing here is Shehbaz Sharif. He's probably one of the most corrupt leaders in Pakistan. I'm in support of Imran Khan, and I believe they should let Imran Khan go and let the people decide who they want, as a leader to lead their country. Imran Khan is still languishing in jail, while this guy, he's got £500 million worth of property in London. £500 million, guys. And it's probably more. I mean, £500 million that we know about. There's probably much, much more, in his family's names and hidden wealth. So this guy, he's absolutely corrupt. And I gotta give him some dues. He has done a good job in this negotiating the peace between America and Iran. But a lot of people would probably ask, why did Pakistan do this? I got a few reasons, guys. I got a few reasons why. And I think the main reason, it might not be what you think. I think the main reason Pakistan did this peace is because otherwise, if they didn't, they would have been drawn into the war. Because a lot of people don't realize that Pakistan and Saudi Arabia have got a defense clause. So if Saudi Arabia goes into war, they expect Pakistan to fight alongside with them. So at times during the, during the small battle that America and Iran had, there was a lot of bombs hitting Saudi air bases, and they were close to starting a war, Saudi Arabia and Iran, and they were asking Pakistan to get ready as well. Pakistan obviously refused to get involved, but Saudi Arabia, they were insisting because they said that they've got a defense clause with Pakistan, and if they do not join the war fighting against Iran, then they would cancel the contract. And Saudi Arabia have been paying a lot of money to Pakistan for this defense agreement. And we're talking, a lot of money here. We're talking at least 50 to 100 billion. And so So if Pakistan refused, which I believe they probably would have, I don't think Pakistan would have gone to war with Iran, to be honest. And if they refused, then Saudi Arabia would have asked for that money back, and Pakistan would have collapsed as a country. Pakistan also had a similar agreement with UAE, but not a full-blown defense agreement, but I think it's more like a weapons package and helping out with technology, weapons and training. And UAE was angry with Pakistan, and they asked for the loan which they gave to Pakistan. They wanted it back, and Pakistan had to give that loan back to UAE. Uh, but it was only for like a couple of billion, so it was not a major deal. But with Saudi Arabia, that is a major deal. So I think they were probably forced to do this peace deal because if they didn't, they would have been in a real bad dilemma whether to help Saudi Arabia or to lose all of that money and the defense money. So I think that's probably why they did it. Um, but yeah, I mean, credit is credit is due, guys. Credit is due. They did do a good job. So you got to give them some credit. But end of the day, I still believe that they need to let Imran Khan go and let the people decide who they want as a leader. So I already spoke about that. So, who, has anyone been following Reza Pahlavi? And those of you who don't know, Reza Pahlavi is the son of the former leader of Iran, the Shah. And it's a very similar situation in Philippines where you got the Bang Marcos. His father was the most corrupt leader in Philippines, and he ran off with lots of money, lots of riches of Philippines. And now, a few years later, his son is now running the country. And again, so his son is very corrupt and is following Washington's orders. So, in a very similar situation, Pahlavi is is the son of a corrupt. His father was very corrupt, and he got driven out after the Islamic Revolution. So he ran off to United States, stole a lot of money and gold and all of that, riches, treasures. So he took all of that from Iran. And Shah Pahlavi, the son, has been living a comfortable life in United States. So a lot of people have been trying to put him in power. They were trying to collapse the Iranian regime and put him in instead. And he has been obviously funded by Israel, and Israel is basically funding this guy. And this guy openly says that, if he's a leader, he's going to do a peace deal with Israel. He will sell all of Iranian assets to American companies. Basically, he's going to be an absolute puppet, just like his father. However, if he ever set foot in Iran, I believe the Iranians would just beat the hell out of him, or even worse. I mean, the Iranians remember why they had to drive out his father because his father again was selling Iranian assets and riches to American companies. All the money was going out of Iran into American pockets, And this is why the Islamic Revolution happened. And his son basically wants to do the same thing. And as a leader, he has he brings no respect. There's no respect for him whatsoever from the Iranian people in Iran. As a leader, I mean, people know him very well. His wife openly has an affair with her trainer, and this is very much news all over the papers and stuff. So if your own wife cannot respect you and has affairs with you in front of the whole world, how do you expect people to respect you and respect you as a leader? So again, this guy has no respect whatsoever. He's an Israeli puppet, an Israeli stooge. And this is why the Israelis love him, because he's such a puppet of Israel. And this is why Israel is paying him a lot of money. They've literally paying him. I've read a report that they've literally made him so rich. They've given him like tens of millions, literally. And he doesn't need the money because obviously his dad's stolen a lot of money from Iran and stuff. But end of the day, he's probably not going to say no to extra money, is he? He's a very corrupt individual. So I'm very glad that this guy is not in power in Iran. So somebody interviewed him a few days ago, and this is the interview, and they said that Trump has said and JD Vance have said that they never considered him as a leader of Iran. What's your response? And his response was, I'm going to wait until Trump changes his mind and sends out another tweet. That's his answer, guys. So your whole political career is basically based on Trump's tweets. That's what he's trying to say. He's going to wait until Trump changes his mind and sends a tweet. I mean, yeah, you know, you're basically judging your whole political career on Trump's tweets. I mean, yeah, good luck with that. Absolutely ridiculous, guys. Anyway, guys, I think that's the end of the video. There's some battles happening in Lebanon, and apparently there's been a huge, casualty report from on the Israeli side. They lost around 40 soldiers or something like that. But obviously, I cannot verify it. These are just reports coming out. So it looks like Israel might have to withdraw from Lebanon. It looks like Hezbollah are giving Israel a very, very good beating. Let's keep our fingers crossed for that. Anyway, I'll see you guys later, guys, and make sure you join my second channel, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.